What's up, guys? This is Justin with IGN. I'm here with IGN's master of all things tech, Elena Yee. And Apple, as you can see behind us, they finally lifted the lid on the Apple Watch. We got the full sort of details on the release date, the price. So Elena, let's jump right in. If someone wants one of these devices, when are they going to be able to get their hands on it?
So pre-orders start April 10th, and then you can actually buy one on April 24th. And if you happen to be near an Apple store, you can actually go in starting April 10th and like get your hands on one, see if it fits, you know, that kind of thing. And
if you also happen to be the Monopoly man, you can buy one of these Apple Watches for $10,000 at the high end. But I mean, that's obviously sort of the premium gold model.
Right.
What are some of the price points if you want to jump in and get one of these things?
So they have three lines, right? So they have the base one, which is the Apple Watch Sport. That one is $350 for the 38mm size, and then it's $400 for the 42mm size.
Made out of aluminum, a little bit sportier, a little bit lighter, but it is sort of their entry model watch.
Right.
What sort of, if you go one step higher than that, what are you looking at?
So the Apple Watch line, it's a really big range. So it starts at $550 for the smaller size, but it goes all the way up to $1,050.
Oh my goodness gracious!
And then if you want the larger size of the watch, then it starts at like $600, goes up to $1,100.
And so the thing that everyone's really freaking out about is sort of their premium high end, what they call it, the Apple Edition, Apple Watch
Edition.
Apple Watch Edition, and those start at $10,000. Is that
yeah?
correct?
They didn't even give like a full range. They just said starting at $10,000, and it's a gold. It uses gold, 18-karat gold for the watch itself, and then the bands also have gold in them as well.
Everyone's kind of freaking out about this $10,000 watch. In my opinion, obviously not for me, not for almost anybody, but that's what gold watches cost, you know. So Apple is sort of entering this luxury, basically jewelry, line.
Yeah.
Like that's sort of how they're positioning this.
Yeah, I honestly think if you're in the market for something like that, I mean, you're not really going to be looking at the price nearly as with concern as those of us here who don't have enough money to pay that, when you could pay for like a year's worth of rent.
Oh my goodness gracious. All right, so let's jump into some of the functionality. We saw some of this when they announced the Apple Watch last fall, but we got far more details on, some of the apps and sort of what this phone can and can't do. Maybe one of the most notable things is that you can actually make and receive phone calls with it.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I'm not a huge smartwatch person yet. I mean, I've tried Motorola's Moto 360, played a little bit around with an LG G Watch, but so far I wasn't really sold on it beyond the notifications. But I do think there's actually a lot of like usability and just being able to speak into your watch if you needed to, as opposed to fumbling around for your phone to like actually begin the call.
And so that works, it is communicating with your cell phone via Bluetooth, or if you're in your house via Wi-Fi, I believe is what they sort of announced, how that was going to work, how that was going to function.
Honestly, the stream was going really fast, and I was doing the live blog. So in terms of that particular feature, like over what kind of frequency it was, like I didn't quite catch that.
And so they also announced sort of an app store. They gave a bunch of examples, hailing a cab with Uber, and that you can use an alarm app to maybe open or close garage doors, or functions in your house. Did any of that sort of jump out at you?
I did think some of that remote, some remote stuff like with the garage was kind of interesting. I also thought the whole traveler angle where you could actually use the watch to unlock a door in certain hotels. I could see that being really useful for travelers. Actually, I got most excited for the part where you could pull up your mobile boarding pass for a plane flight with the QR code on your watch, because I'm always constantly juggling things in airports.
Yep, yeah, that's super rad. You already have that functionality on your phone, but like you said, that's another thing you're kind of juggling versus having it strapped to your wrist. Definitely a cool potential application there. We finally got details. They'd sort of talked about battery life in general terms before, but we got details on what the battery life of this thing is going to be like. So, how long are people going to be able to use the Apple Watch before they need to charge it?
So they gave a number of 18 hours, but they didn't say under what conditions. I'm going to assume that's mixed use, not necessarily heavy, not necessarily light.
Yeah.
That kind of puts it, I would say, in the range of what I've seen from Android Wear smartwatches. With my Moto 360, when I was trying it out, there were a couple of days where I could get almost 24 hours with it, but if I was doing heavy notifications or just using a lot, then it shrank quite a bit.
Interesting. And so that is notably less than something like the Pebble, where you're getting almost 5 to 7 days. It's not a direct apples to apples comparison because the Pebble does use the e-paper display.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, that is a legitimate complaint that we've heard from today's presentation, is that just doesn't seem like long enough battery life for a watch. I mean, do you agree, disagree?
I would say where the technology is right now and for how many features they're trying to pump into it, like if that is, say, more of a heavy use case, I would be a little bit more impressed, just given that I would say that from what we've seen from the press conference, that there's a lot more functionality that you get with an Apple Watch, which may justify the extra cost, because I mean, with the Android smartwatch, you're paying more in like the $200, $250 range. So you're paying at least $100 more for the base model of an Apple Watch. So given that, like, maybe, like, again, like, I think it really depends on real world use.
Totally, yeah, that completely makes sense to me. I mean, obviously, when the Apple Watch does launch later in April, we're gonna go into the office, put it through all of its paces, and let you know about the battery life, the apps, how that stuff works or doesn't work. And we're eventually gonna have a full review of the Apple Watch as well. So remember that for all things Apple and all things tech, you're already in the right place. IGN.